Welcome back to another episode of Whizzers, where we talk about the big little things at Whiz. I'm Annie, your host for today. Today, I would like to compare and contrast my experiences with the two main cultures I've encountered in my life. In middle school, I moved back to Taiwan from South Africa, where I had lived for about 10 years. So I didn't just visit the two places, I actually grew up in one and then had to adjust to the other. That's why the differences really stood out to me, especially in terms of convenience and school life. First, let's talk about daily life. Taiwan is very convenient. Things are close together, public transportation is very popular, and if you forget something, there's probably a 7-Eleven or Family Mart on every street. When I came back, I noticed how much faster everything is compared to South Africa. People walk fast, and things are generally very organized. You don't really have to plan much because systems are already in place for you. South Africa was very different. Daily life was more spread out and you couldn't rely on public transport the same way. Most people needed cars, and things like power cuts or slow internet were a part of daily life. In fact, we had an app that told us when we wouldn't have electricity that day. Living conditions also varied a lot depending on where you lived, so not everyone had the same access to resources. Life wasn't necessarily harder all the time, but it was less predictable. Life in South Africa felt simpler and quieter in a very practical way. That slower pace meant people depended more on routine and preparation. So while Taiwan offers convenience and reliability, South African life felt more flexible in a different way. Next, the school systems were very different as well. In South Africa, school felt more relaxed structurally. Classes involved more discussion, and teachers encouraged students to speak up and ask questions. Homework and tests mattered, but they weren't the only focus. In fact, sports and extracurriculars were mandatory, and I was able to get 8 hours of sleep almost every day. School felt more balanced with life outside the classroom. Coming back to Taiwan in middle school was a big change, especially as I had gone to a public middle school at first. School here is much more structured and exam-focused. There are clearer expectations, frequent assessments, and a stronger emphasis on grades. The pace is faster and falling behind feels more stressful, especially with the language barriers at first. I had to adjust to heavier workloads and a system where performance is measured very clearly. So overall, Taiwan is more convenient and organized, while South Africa has more varied living conditions and a slower pace of life. Neither system is better, they just prepare you for different things. Growing up in both made me more aware of how the environment affects school, routines, and even how people interact. That's it for today's episode of Whizzers. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon.